Well, hello everyone. I wanted to talk to you briefly about causation, thinking about causation or causality. And the idea behind causality is that in history, we try to understand a bit about what could have possibly caused change over time. If history is about understanding change over time, and then what causes that? That's the question that causality or causation asks. And of course, this is complex because we can't rerun experiments. We can't rerun the past. We can't set up an experiment to see what would have happened in the Middle Ages if you changed this factor or that factor. But one of the things we try to look for anyway is multiple causes and some complexity and all that. And the key for causes is that we want to look for real clear connection to the actual changes and evidence to show that connection. Okay, so we can say things like, well, human nature caused it, or the weather caused it, or whatever, but we have to actually show some kind of evidence connection. So if you think that there's something that human nature itself leads to certain changes, well, show how people acted that way. You need hard historical evidence from primary or secondary sources to show that your causes actually have some kind of connection to the events. Okay? And historians argue about causes all the time. That's part of the idea of competing interpretations of history. So you're not necessarily going to agree with me or other students or other authors about causes that you think are most important, and that's okay. But one of the things it's a good idea to do is to think about multiple causes, and I want to give you an example of that. If you look at the Development 3.5, High Medieval Monarchies, then you can see an example there of some of the different causes that are part of the rise of the power of kings. Okay, if you look at that, it says on pages 1 and 2, right, important factors in increasing royal power. One of them is the rise of the papal monarchy, when the papacy defined the kingship as having the power over earthly justice, whereas the Pope had spiritual power. That helped to define kings as supreme in the realm of earthly justice. Okay, and it gives you some evidence there. Secondly, it talks about kings extending authority with their officials. Okay, officials are able to extend the power of kings by being in places where the king can't be and acting in the king's name there to extend the king's power there. Okay, and then you have more and more educated officials. You have the ability of kings to write laws and to judge cases in their courts. You have kings charging fees to hear cases, and then also creating a treasury office and a chancery to manage correspondence and all these kinds of things. And so as kings develop bureaucracies, develop claims to be the chief official in charge of justice, the chief power in charge of justice in their kingdoms, they're able to grow their power. And this is also in relationship to the nobles, in relationship to the church. Okay, so in Development 3.5, you can see how different causes are explained there, and they're all supported with historical evidence. And that's just really the most important thing to do, is not to just list causes out there and throw them out there, but to say what they are and support them with evidence.